Hi class, welcome to part 2 of our L220 sentence combining. Let's move into part 2. Before we get started, just take a moment to review what we learned in part 1 of our lesson. We learned that when we want to combine two separate sentences, we want to make sure that we don't use the same predicate or the same subject more than one time. So look at this example. John has a dog, the dog is a stray. Well, one of the first things we want to do is to recognize what was repeated in the second sentence. Well, we don't need to tell it, we're not going to say the dog is, we don't want to repeat the dog, we've already said it once. And then we also want to notice that this is an adjective. What kind of dog is it? It's a stray. And so what do we do when we have an adjective or words describing something from the first sentence? Well, we only want to pull out that one-word adjective. So we're going to take the word stray and we're going to put it back in our first sentence. So when we rewrite it, we would just simply say, John has a stray dog. Do you remember that? Our teacher swept the floor was dirty. Remember, whenever you have an adjective, we just pull that one word adjective out and put it in our first sentence. Let's talk about today. Combine with an appositive. Do you remember a positive? Take a moment and think about it. Okay? Appositives give you extra information about the subject of the sentence. For example, listen to this. Justin, the boy in the back of the room, is my favorite. Well, the subject of the sentence is Justin, right? And now I got to think, what extra information was I given about Justin? Yeah, the boy in the back of the room. So a positive sit right behind the subject of the sentence and they give you extra information. Look at this example. Miss Newton gave instructions. She is their new boss. Well, the subject of the first sentence is Miss Newton. And in the second sentence, she is their new boss. We're given extra information about who Miss Newton is. And who is she? Their new boss. So the words their new boss is the appositive or extra information about who Miss Newton is. Well, how do we go to combine it? It's pretty simple if you think about it. I only want the appositive, okay? I'm not going to take anything else but the appositive. So when I go to write it, Miss Newton, their new boss, gave instructions. And what I want you to notice here, I'm going to go to the highlighter for just a second, is that once I put in their new boss, I took the appositive. Guess what happened? Did you notice? Did you guys see the commas here? Now you have commas because we put it in the middle of the sentence. So when we're working with the positives, be sure that you're looking for your commas. But again, all you do is take the appositive from the second sentence and stick it into the first sentence. Let's keep. How about this one? Belisa is a lake in Russia. Belisa is the oldest lake in the world. Well, one of the first things I notice when I go to combine these sentences is that I don't want to mention, did you notice there that Belisa is mentioned twice? So because it's mentioned twice, I know I don't want to say Belisa again. And I know I don't want to say is again because I've already said that. So with that in mind, now let me think. I gotta have an appositive here. So let's go back to the first sentence. Belisa is a lake in Russia. Well, the subject of this sentence is Belisa. Now in the second sentence, there should be some extra information about Belisa. And what is it? Yep, you got it. All the words left become your appositive, the oldest lake in the world. So when I get ready to combine these two sentences, I'm only going to take the appositive, the words that I've circled, or the words right here in red. So when I go to create my new sentence, I'm going to combine the two, just taking these words and the whole first sentence. Well, where in the world would I put these words, the oldest lake in the world? Where am I going to put it? Well, of course, I want to put it right next to what I'm describing. So Belitsa, the oldest lake in the world is in Russia. And do you notice what's missing? Can you figure it out with what needs to go in this sentence? You see it? Make sure you put 2 commas. Very good. So, all right, here is another example. Mrs. Jones made the decision. Mrs. Jones is the senior officer. Well, of course, we notice here that Miss Jones is mentioned twice. We don't want to mention her name again. And we're looking for an appositive. So the subject of the sentence is Mrs. Jones. Well, what is told to you in the second sentence that gives you extra information or is the appositive? Well, who is she? She is the senior officer. Very good. So when we go to combine these two sentences, we only want to take what? That's it. The words the senior officer, because these words are your appositive, and we only want to pull out the appositive. So when we go to combine them, again, the senior officer is the appositive, and those are the only words you're going to take from the second sentence. When you combine them, you should have Mrs. Jones, the senior officer, made the decision. Now notice my words in black. Those are the original words from the first sentence. They don't change. The words in red are the appositive from the second sentence. Notice it's smack dab in the middle. How you doing so far? Here's another. Now on purpose, I have put these two out of order because I want you to see, can you figure out what the appositive could possibly be between these two sentences. So look at this. The Hawaiian Islands are a popular vacation spot. The Hawaiian Islands have been attracting tourists for decades. Now, when I read these two sentences, which one of these sentences contains extra information about the Hawaiian Islands? Can you figure out what the appositive is here? Take a moment and think about it. What's the extra information? Hopefully you ever figure out a popular vacation spot. These words right here, let me turn my pen on. These words, a popular vacation spot, are a noun or a group of words that describe the Hawaiian Islands, because remember, appositives are going to simply describe, and there aren't any group of words in this second sentence here that actually describe the actual islands. The only sentence that did that was the first one, a popular vacation spot. So once you have identified what the appositive is, what do? Yeah, you pull it out. Just go on and pull it out. A popular vacation spot. So we're going to need to put it in this sentence right here. Let me get my laser. So once we've pulled out the appositive, a popular vacation spot, we've got to find a perfect spot for it in this second sentence here. And where do we always put the appositive? Think about it. Do you remember? That's right. The appositive has to go right next to what it's describing. So what's the popular vacation spot here? Yeah, the Hawaiian Islands. So when you go to combine it, look at this. The Hawaiian Islands, a popular vacation spot, have been attracting tourists for years. Isn't that neat? Very, very neat, isn't it? We just took it out of this sentence here and we slid it right in the middle. Let's keep going. What about the read? Can you combine three sentences here? Well, again, only one of these sentences is an appositive. It's going to give you some information that we could use to create an appositive. So let's just read them. Braden came to the store. Braden was our salesperson. He brought us samples. Now stop and think. You don't actually have an appositive here. You're going to combine these three sentences here. And we're going to do it by creating an appositive. So, which one of these sentences contains a word or words that will give you extra information about who in the world Braden is? Think about that for just a moment. Which one of those sentences now give you extra information or tell you who is Braden? Did you figure it out? Yep, our salesperson. This was the only sentence that describes the actual person who Braden is. So once we decide that our salesperson will become our appositive, let's get to work. Now, let's start off by not repeating words. First of all, we already don't want to say that again. We've already mentioned Braden. And since this sentence is our appositive, let's get rid of this. The only words we're taking from this sentence is salesperson. Now, he brought us samples. I'm already going to say Braden one time. So do I have to go back and say he? Now we're talking about Braden. Let's get that out the way. But none of these other words are repeated. Brought us samples. So what are we going to do here? We're going to want to keep brought us samples, and we're going to want to keep Braden came to the store, and we're going to want to keep our salesperson, because our salesperson is the appositive. So where in the world will we put our salesperson? Let's think about it. It's an appositive, so it has to go next to what it's describing. It has to be where? You got it. Has to be right here next to Braden. So we got that part done. Braden, our salesperson, and now we're just going to slide everything else that's left. Came to the store, brought us samples. Look at this. Braden, our salesperson, came to the store and brought us samples. Now we did have to add here because we want to add the word and, because we want to make sure we have a compound predicate here. But notice everything else pretty much stayed the same. Let me turn my laser on. Came to the store, brought us samples, Our salesperson, and we kept the original subject. Did you do okay with that one? The last slide in this very short PowerPoint today is all about not leaving out important words when you go into to create a combined sentence. So here's another example, and I want you to work on this one a little bit by yourself. Ronisha caught the pop fly. Ronisha was our pitcher. Ronisha threw the ball to third. Well, the first thing you have to do is figure out which one of these sentences contains your appositive. Which sentence gives you extra words that would describe Ronisha? Write that down. Okay, so here's the thing. Did you figure out which words are your appositive? Got it. Now, pay attention to which words are repeated more than one time. And I want you to think about how you would combine this. So take a moment and combine it yourself. Now look at this answer choice. Which is correct? Ronisha, our pitcher, caught the pop fly and threw the ball to third. Ronisha, our pitcher, caught the pop fly and threw the ball. Now, if you were given these two answer choices, which one would you choose? I hope you chose A. Did you pay attention to something very important was left out of B? You cannot leave out important words. An important word right here is that the ball ended up at third. And on the second sentence here, B, we just left that off. You can't do that. That's important to know. So even though you're combining and you're trying to make really good sentences, don't leave out very important information. All right, so today we learned about combining sentences. We learned how to combine within a positive. We've already learned how to combine and not repeat the same predicate. So all for today. I will see you guys later in part 3.